This client came to me because she was extremely fatigued, and she also had, started out by going to the doctor and had a couple of thyroid tests, which came back with results way, way outside of normal. So she was really concerned about fatigue and depression-like symptoms. And in the midst of a part of her work life where there were very high demands on her, she was advancing in her career, and it was getting harder and harder to actually stay on track and keep up with what she needed to do, just simply because of the overwhelming fatigue. And she was also very concerned because she was exposed to the Chernobyl disaster as a child, and her mother had thyroid problems. A lot of people who were exposed to Chernobyl have these kinds of issues, and her mother had really had a hard time with the thyroid replacement hormones, and the course of her treatment was not very smooth. And so my client was feeling like she knew she needed to do something, but she was a little bit hesitant to start down the same path of treatment that her mother had taken, and was hoping that maybe we would be able to do something with herbs and lifestyle change. When we first started working together, she said that she was having a lot of trouble with fatigue and staying on a regular human schedule for sleep, tending to be very tired in the mornings, and also getting very tired quickly throughout the day. That she used to be able to run productively from 10 to 10, but now she's rarely able to successfully execute anything before noon, and that by the time she returns from work, she's so exhausted. She can't do anything in the evening, get anything checked off of her evening list either. She was also concerned about weight gain. She had been at about 125 for most of her adult life, and her weight had crept up to closer to 140. And she was feeling like there were some changes she could make in her diet that would help, but she was also feeling that this was likely connected to the thyroid. And her tests were way outside of the normal range. So in October, before she came to me, she had an initial TSH of 7.43. And TSH is the thyroid stimulating hormone. So that's the one that is sort of saying, like, wake up thyroid, make more hormone for us. And her TSH was so high because her body was asking for more thyroid hormone, and it just wasn't happening. So then she had a second follow-up test to confirm, and that test was 5.42 about 3 weeks later. It's normal for these to fluctuate, but both of those numbers are very far outside the normal range. Or actually, the first one is very far outside the normal range. The second one is outside of normal, but was close enough that her doctor was willing to agree that she could try working with me and see what happened. We started working together in November, and I looked at the overall pattern of everything that was going on, and we did a little bit of mineral supplementation. We worked with some herbs, actually some Ayurvedic herbs, a little bit different approach from my usual Chinese medicine approach, that were customized to her and to what she needed. And then I also really worked with a lot of lifestyle tools for her. She was very into the quantified self movement, where you track a lot of data about yourself and your life. And so she was excellent at tracking things. So we would use that to support her moving in the direction of the behaviors that she wanted. So we were tracking like number of days that she would get in the pool to swim for exercise. We were using one of my favorite thyroid and hormone interventions, which is exposure to morning sunlight. And that's pretty tough, getting exposure to early morning sunlight when you are having a hard time getting out of bed before 10 a.m. or noon. But she was able to do it. And that is very, very, very helpful drug-free intervention for anybody who's having any kind of hormonal disturbance. I highly recommend giving it a try. You have nothing to lose. In about a month, she started to climb out of this real fatigue state, started to get slowly better. And by the time 3 months had gone by, even though it was still very stressful, even though it was still the middle of winter and a time when, seasonal affective kind of depression and just low energy are very rampant, she was doing much better. And after about 4 months, it seemed like things were good, and we said, okay, we're gonna just we'll leave it here. And she knew she had a 6-month follow-up with her doctor to check her thyroid. So she told me she would report back after that and let me know what happened. We already knew she was doing better, but it was wonderful to get the confirmation in April when she went to the doctor that her TSH had returned to the normal range, and it was 2.3. And she was feeling great, moving on with her career, doing lots of good, exciting things in the world. And the best part of this story is that we haven't worked together again. I haven't had another session with her since 2013, but I emailed her in maybe, I don't know, sometime in 2016, sent her an email and just asked how she was doing. And she has continued to be healthy and energized and feel well, and has had no recurrence of thyroid issues. Sometimes, if you're able to intervene early enough, instead of waiting until something has been a long-standing issue, natural medicine is so helpful, especially in that early stage. Like if you get there right when things start to go haywire, there is a much higher chance that we'll be able to turn things around and then not have to keep going back and readdressing that pattern. So thyroid issues come in a lot of different shapes and sizes, and what was right for this client might not necessarily be what's right for you. But if you are struggling with thyroid challenges, fatigue, having a difficult time getting yourself going, and interested in getting some support around that, I would be very happy to speak with you about my approach. You can learn more at psycheandsoma.com, and I'll put the link down below. And the first step is for us to meet for an assessment session so that I can get a sense of what is actually going on with you, and tell you what I think my approach would be and whether or not it would be a good fit for us to work together. And then you can also get a sense of what you think about what I have to say and if it feels like a good connection. So that would be the first step if you're interested in exploring this approach.